10 years of marriage, maybe 3 fights about money, not because we're some unicorn couple, but because we built a system that works for us. And it's called the 4-bucket system. And once you set it up, money fights basically stop. I'm Emily, your big sister in finance and financially free mom of 2. On this channel, we make personal finance clear, relatable, and actually useful for us figuring out life and money together. If that's something you're into, then hit the subscribe button. I'm walking you through all 4 buckets right now. Fighting about money in a marriage isn't rare. It's almost expected. Recent surveys show that 2 in 5 Americans admit to some kind of financial deception in their relationship. For a lot of them, that secrecy hurts just as much as the cheating. Hidden purchases, feeling judged for every dollar, blowout fights, trust and relationships break down over a spreadsheet. My husband and I have been together for 10 years now, and we've sidestepped almost all of that. Not because we're some unicorn couple, but because we built a system before the cracks could form. We call it the 4-bucket system, and it replaced the shame and secrecy with transparency and freedom from day one. Today, I'm gonna walk you through exactly how it works and how to set it up in your relationship before money comes this thing that you fight about. Before you get to the buckets, you have to understand something that we learned the hard way. Fights about money are rarely ever about the math. They're about the power, shame, control, and trust. One partner feels like they're being watched and controlled, and the other feels like the only one worried about the future. One person feels like they have to ask permission to live, while the other feels like they're carrying the entire financial burden. If you're nodding along, you've probably experienced this yourself. I see it constantly in DMs, conversations with friends, in the comments under the relationship money videos I post on the internet. The pattern is almost always the same. Every purchase starts to feel like it's under a microscope. A new book, lunch with friends. Each one comes with a side of guilt and interrogation about whether it was a need or a want. Eventually, one of you starts hiding things. Not big stuff, just little purchases that quietly add up. The other partner is carrying the weight of the entire financial future on their shoulders. They don't see the spending as their person finding a little joy. They see it as a direct attack on shared goals. The house, retirement, getting ahead. So you end up in this toxic cycle of blame and shame. Whatever you're calling your system, if you have one at all, is forcing you into these corners. One of you becomes the spender and the other becomes the saver. One is irresponsible and the other is a killjoy. There's zero middle ground. And here's where most couples get it wrong. They think the other person is the problem. They're not. The broken system that you're both using is the problem. You don't need to change each other. You just need to change the game. The big shift happens when you stop seeing your money as one giant contentious pile and start splitting it with a purpose. This 4-bucket system isn't some crazy restrictive budget. It's a framework for clarity, and it gives every dollar a job before your feelings get in the way. It creates both shared responsibility and the individual freedom that you're both craving. So it's a way to combine your finances for the big goals while still giving each of you the autonomy that you desperately need. So I want to remove that preconceived notion that if you're married, your finances need to be 100% combined. That is not what this is. Bucket 1 is ours, the joint spending account. This is going to be the bedrock for your shared life. This is where a portion of both of your paychecks go first. So you can do a 50-50 split, or you can contribute proportionally based on your income. And that's what we do. So this bucket is for all the non-negotiable expenses that keep your life running. So we're talking about your needs here, the things that you have to pay no matter what. This is going to include rent or mortgage, utilities like power or water, groceries or restaurants, insurance, shared debt payments, joint subscriptions. That average household spend on streaming and apps can add up really fast. And any expenses for the kids. This account is all about teamwork. By putting your money here, you're both taking ownership of the household's financial health. We use the 50-30-20 rule as a rough guideline for our finances and our budget. So 50% for needs, which is this bucket, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings. But we'll get to that part in a minute. Once a month, we sit down and look at this accounts statement together. It's not about judging, it's just about clarity. So we see where the money is going, spot any leaks, and make sure that we're on the same page. This one simple habit has built so much trust in our relationship partnership and make sure that our values and shared dreams continue to align with each other month after month, year after year. So bucket 2 and 3 are going to be mine and his, the guilt-free personal accounts. This right here is where the magic happens. This is what ends that day-to-day arguments about those small purchases. Every single payday, we have an automatic transfer set up. A set amount of money goes from our main ours account into my personal checking account, and then a set amount, it goes into his personal checking account. This is our personal, no questions asked, guilt-free spending money. This money is ours to use however we want. If he wants to go on a guy's trip or buy some new gadget for his latest hobby, he uses his money. He doesn't have to ask me. He doesn't have to justify it. If I want to get my nails done, buy a new outfit, or meet a friend for drinks, I use my money. I don't feel a pang of guilt or have to rehearse a defense for why I needed it. This totally eliminates the micromanaging and resentment that builds up. That constant tension over the small stuff just goes away. And it gives us both the financial independence while we're still completely committed to our shared life and our shared goals. It's like a built-in allowance for us just being a human. For us, this is going to be about 15% of our take-home pay, which fits into the wants part of that 50-30-20 rule. And this one change gave us the freedom to be ourselves again within the security of our partnership. By the way, if this is already clicking for you and you're just so tired of the money stress, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're all about finding practical systems that actually make life better, and we'd love for you to join us. Bucket 4, ours, the future. So this is going to be this sinking funds account. The fourth and final bucket is what keeps you out of debt and makes sure that you're actively building that dream future together. This is your sinking fund account. A sinking fund is just a savings account for a specific expense that you know is coming. This is not your emergency fund. An emergency fund is for true unforeseen disasters like a job loss or a medical crisis. Sinking funds are for predictable expenses. Think about things like vacations, Christmas and birthday gifts, the annual car insurance, car repairs or a down payment on a new car, home projects. And instead of getting blindsided by those expenses and just throwing them on a credit card, you can plan for them. The math is easy. Take the total cost of the goal and divide it by the number of months you have to save. For example, say you want to take a $2,400 vacation 1 year from now. You create a sinking fund for it. $2,400 divided by 12 months is $200. So you set up an automatic transfer of $200 every month from your main hours account into this future savings account. We have a lot of these mini buckets or named sub accounts within our main savings. So beach trip, Christmas 2026, new tires. This bucket does 2 amazing things. First, it kills the stress and guilt around big purchases. Christmas isn't a financial disaster anymore, it's a planned event. Second, it gets you and your partner dreaming and planning together. So you're not just managing bills, you're actively building a life. You're deciding as a team what's important and putting your money where your dreams are. And third, it keeps the big purchase money away from that monthly spending. So you don't accidentally spend your summer vacation money on those small impulse buys at the grocery store that you know you all are gonna be fighting about later. So here's what life actually looks like with the 4 buckets running. No low-level anxiety humming in the background. No nightly arguments, just one productive check-in a month. And I don't care if my husband buys a new gadget and he doesn't flinch when I come home with a new shopping bag, because we both know personal spending comes out of that guilt-free bucket. There's no secrecy. Not because we're superhumanly honest, but because the need for secrecy never gets a chance to form. Financial infidelity is almost always born from a craving of privacy or from fear and shame about spending. And financial abuse comes from that craving of control. The buckets dismantle those root causes directly. The mine and his buckets give us that autonomy that most couples are craving. The monthly hours review provides that transparency that builds real trust. And that future bucket keeps us locked in on the same long-term goals. I used to be one of those people who would stress about the monthly check-in, but when I realized it was kind of like a date night, us sitting together talking about our shared dreams and goals together, it is so much more fun. We're not financial opponents. We're a team, a shared plan for the bills, a shared vision for the future, complete freedom over personal spending, the perfect balance of we and me. And that's the whole point. Good money management shouldn't be exciting. It should be boring, stable foundation that you build that exciting life on top of. You might have noticed something missing from that 4-bucket system: retirement and emergency savings. That's by design. We keep those completely separate from the buckets because they shouldn't even be a part of the monthly conversation at all. Our 401k contributions come out of every paycheck before we ever see the money. So there's no decision to make. We always get the max. And then we max out both Roth IRAs at the start of the year, and then we don't have to think about them again. And we each keep an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of salary fully funded. Fortunately, we haven't had to touch them often. This is your foundation money. The 4-bucket system handles the here and now. Retirement and emergencies handle 10 years from now and the worst case scenario. You don't want decisions about either of those happening in your monthly check-in. You want those automated, separated, and boring. If you're fighting about money with your partner, please hear me when I say this. The problem isn't you and it's not them. It's your system. By separating your money into these 4 buckets, ours for bills, mine for freedom, his for freedom, and ours for the future, you replace emotion with intention. You create a framework that honors both that shared life and your individual selves. This system isn't about being restrictive, it's about being free. It's the freedom to buy a coffee without starting a fight, the freedom to plan a vacation without going into debt, and most importantly, the freedom to look at your partner and see a teammate again, not a financial opponent. It works because it's not just a budget, it's a blueprint for financial peace in your relationship. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope this helps you move from a place of conflict to collaboration. Now, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me, what is one thing that you and your partner argue about most when it comes to money? Let's talk about it. And like always, if you found value in it, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.